Hello, friends, and welcome back to Malicious Compliance Stories. What a day in the life of a disability equipment shop. Love it when people think repeating yourself over and over will get you to cave. But before we begin, best way to support our channel is to leave comments, like, and subscribe with the turned-on bell so you don't miss the new video every single day. Here we go. Man wants to return something we don't even sell. So I spent about a year working in a shop that sold equipment and supplies for disabled or elderly people, walking sticks, wheelchairs, electric scooters, and other more personal sundries. I actually liked the job, and all things being equal, I'd still be working there today. But that's a story for another day. My shifts were 9 to 5 Monday through Friday, then 9 to 1, 3 Saturdays out of 4 with the 4th Saturday off. Shop was closed Sundays. We had an engineer who did repairs and maintenance based out of our shop and an elderly manager who worked Monday, Wednesday, and Friday, and my Saturday off. We all got on well. Anyways, this incident happened on a Saturday, so I was alone in the shop. An older gentleman came in carrying a plastic bag. He walks up to the counter where I'd been refilling the boxes of those rubber ends for walking sticks and crutches. They're called ferrules, just so you know. And I said hello and asked how I could help him. I bought this the other day, but it's no good. He placed the bag down on the counter. I'd like to return it. I didn't recognize him, but figured that the manager must have served him, so I automatically asked if he has the receipt. He produced a sheet of white A4 paper, which seemed a little odd. Most items we sold came with just a regular till receipt, while larger items had a 3-layer white, yellow, pink form. White copy went with the customer, yellow in our records, and pink to the taxman. Most of what we sold was VAT-free, so we needed to keep records of what we sold and to who. However, what he offered me wasn't the flimsy receipt I was expecting, but just a regular sheet of printer paper. I looked at it and saw that it was from another shop, maybe a mile away across the other side of the town center. "Oh, you bought this from other shop?" "Yes," he nods, "your other shop, the one on blank road." "No, we're company name." I point to my name badge, which clearly states who I work for. "Their other shop." "Yes, but you're the same," he insists. "We sell similar products, but we're a completely different company." I opened the bag to see what was inside. I honestly can't remember exactly what it was, but while we sold similar items that did the same job, we'd never sold that particular item. It even had the price label on it, which clearly stated that it was indeed from the other shop. "We don't even sell this. You'll have to take it back to other shop." "I don't want to walk all the way down there," he exclaimed, and that much I could get behind, given it was raining pretty heavily that day. "I want you to refund it now." "I'm sorry, sir, but I can't give a refund for something that you didn't buy from us, and we don't even sell." "But you're the same," he repeated, more insistently this time. "No, we sell similar products, but they're a completely different company." I so wanted to pinch the bridge of my nose while I struggled to come up with a comparison he might understand. It'd be like buying something from Supermarket A, then wanting to return it to Supermarket B. They're both supermarkets, but they're not the same company. "But you're the same," he repeated yet again. At this point, I'm starting to wonder if he had some form of dementia, but aside from his inability to grasp the concept that two shops could sell similar items and yet not be the same company, he seemed fine. "No, sir, we are not." I do my level best not to sound condescending. "We are shop name, they are other shop. We have no connection with them besides selling similar items. If you want to return this, you'll have to go to other shop." "Are you going to give me my refund or not?" he asks, clearly convinced that I'm trying to get out of refunding him his money. "No, sir." I remain calm. "I cannot refund you for something that you did not buy from us." He muttered something about trading standards and the police, then stormed off out of the shop, leaving his item and receipt behind. I put them back in the bag, put the bag under the counter, and called the owner. I explained what happened, which quickly had him laughing, and he told me to just leave it under the counter in case the man came back. And if he did, give him the number for the main office. The shop I worked at was one of 4 the company operated. The man never came back, and we never got contacted by trading standards or the police. As far as I know, the bag, the item, and the receipt are still in the stockroom to this day. As an aside, the other shop closed suddenly, as in the owners left in the middle of the night, not even telling the staff, after they were caught by trading standards selling a secret shopper something completely unsuitable for their stated needs, but cost twice as much as what they actually needed. I, on the other hand, always made sure I sold someone the best fit for their needs, even going so far as to refuse a sale once. Why was this man so adamant on getting a refund, yet doesn't even take the time with them to return to the other store at some other time? Just seems strange that he'd give up like that. Also, seems like he's never worked retail, nor does he have any common sense, because even if he believed the two stores were sister companies or something, how would you have the invoice or barcodes of another store? The twist at the end about the other store was unexpected. And our second story. When someone says those words, they force my hand. I coordinate with contract workers to fix/maintain buildings and properties my company owns. Basically, an employee says, "Hey, this is broke. Can I bring in the correct people to fix the problem?" Safety is of the highest importance for my company. Because of this, people try to use/abuse this culture. There are many examples of this, but I'll give you a more recent one. An older employee came to me and explained that his favorite parking spot, under a big shade tree, doesn't have a parking block, concrete block that your front tires hit. Today he was parking, drove way too far forward, and in front of his car went into the grass, about a 3-inch drop. He asked if I could get one put in. I told him I don't see a problem with installing one. I don't know how long it'll take, but I'll work on it. Then he flashes a little grin and says kinda snarky, "I think it's a safety concern." He thinks by invoking that phrase, things will magically happen faster. I smile back at him and say, I agree, it's a safety concern, and because of that, we're gonna have to block off that area until it can be fixed. Realizing he just lost his favorite parking spot, he says, "Well, I don't think..." I cut him off and say, "No, we have to. You said it's a safety concern, and we can't continue to use this spot if it's a safety concern." His smile changes to a "you got me" smile. The more immediate concern is the guy's lack of spatial awareness regarding his vehicle. In my experience, if you hit the block, you've already gone too far forward. They can damage the bumper on lower to the ground cars. You said he's older, so unless he was really just bullcrapping about the parking issue, maybe suggest he go for a medical evaluation. And our next story. A place I used to work didn't follow labor laws, so I called the Department of Labor and got them audited. This place I used to work at was an inn/restaurant and wedding venue. I would break my back on a daily basis for them. I even got a good friend of mine a job there. Well, one pay period, we were both entitled to overtime pay. More than 40 hours worked in 1 week, but we were told that they don't do overtime. I'm fortunate enough to be educated in my rights as an employee, so I questioned them how they could get away with it. I shared my knowledge of the law and was essentially shut up and told to mind my own business. Flash forward a year or so. At this point, I'm feeling very taken advantage of and disrespected, so I address this. Instead of being professional and addressing the issue like, "Oh, you're a good employee and you feel disrespected? How do you feel disrespected? How can we fix it?" I was yelled at. Pretty much called an a-hole for accusing the owners of being disrespectful. So since they ended it like a-holes, I decided to finally call the Department of Labor and report their violations. Well, wouldn't you know, they got audited. Thank God. Turns out I only got minimal overtime owed, but I'm thankful I called because there were other employees that were owed a lot more money. And our last story. HOA hates the sound of freedom. I live in a township, so in Ohio, that means I can hunt and shoot on my own property. I also live next to a HOA, but not in it. I also have some crazy neighbors who seem to think that my property is their property. Example, I live on 2.5 acres and would probably say 70% of it is wooded with a large amount of 100 to 150 plus year old trees. I just moved in back in March, and one of the first things I did was walk around the property and locate and remark all of my property stakes to know exactly what was mine. And I also marked all of the standing trees that were dead and needed to be cut down. And then a police car shows up because one of my crazy neighbors that I have caught multiple times trespassing on my property thinks that my trees are apparently her trees and didn't want me cutting down the dead ones. So on 4th of July week this year, a bunch of guys from work asked me if I wanted to go shooting at a local outdoor range. When I asked what range it was, I told them, "No, why don't you all just come over to my house and we can shoot for free and not have to drive for an hour to a crappy range?" And they asked, "Well, what about my neighbors?" And I said, "F them. That's exactly why I bought this property, to do what the hell I want. So I posted on the local neighborhoods group and give everybody a heads up if they hear a bunch of gunfire on that Friday afternoon. There's no need to freak out. I was just using my range with some friends. And of course, that's when the fun started. There was a good mix of people saying, great, wish they could come, and then a bunch of the HOA busybodies complaining that I can't do that and that the noise would be offensive and they have rules against that and so on. Now, flash forward to the Thursday before, and I'm out in the yard setting up all of my steel plate targets on my 100-yard range when I see a police car pull in the driveway again. So the sergeant says, "You can probably guess why I'm here," laughing. I said, "Yeah, I probably have a good idea." He says, "I just want to start off saying you're 100% right, and you can shoot and hunt on your own property, and it's not a problem. But since we had a bunch of calls, I wanted to stop out here and talk with you. That way we don't have to bother you at all during your shoot tomorrow, LOL." He says he just wanted to stop out and introduce himself, meet me, and take a look at the range real quick, and everything looked great. So this way, come Friday, if they get a bunch of calls into dispatch, they won't have to send anybody out, and they can just let everyone know on the phone call that everything's legal. So Friday comes along, and about 6 guys from work show up, and we went through probably 1,000+ rounds in a couple of hours, from 22s all the way up to my 50 BMG I let them play with. 2 of the guys brought guns with binary triggers, so we were doing some 30-round mag dumps for fun as well. Later that night, I go back on the website to see what the posts were like, starting off with, "Sounds like the party started," along with people whining and complaining that they called the police and were told that everything was legal and there was nothing for them to do, and commented with, "Well, I guess the police won't do anything until somebody's shot." LOL. Yes, that's right. Newsflash, the police don't arrest you for pre-crime. That'd be like them pulling you over for speeding before you've left your driveway because you might speed down the road. You should offer the police use of your range for training once in a while. I could just imagine the Karen's faces. "Hello, police, there are people having fun firing guns coming from the neighbors, blah, blah, blah." Whee. "Police? Yes, we know. It's us practicing our skills. Goodbye." Hey guys, thank you all for watching the video. I'll see you in the next one.